Hey everybody, it's Andy. Welcome back to my weekly show where I help you build a career you love. January 2019, my first show of the year. I missed you guys, which is why I got a great one for you today. We're going to talk about a number of things in the spirit of it being January and new beginnings, new inspirations. I want to invigorate or reinvigorate your job search, and I've got a phenomenal, I call it, it's like a Swiss Army knife tool for your job searching. It's my 10 by 10 job search formula. We're going to give that away right away in this show. I don't know why people always hold the gifts to the end, but we're going to go out with that. It's got 10 great steps that you should take in your job search, a whole bunch more. I'm going to show it to you here in a minute. And then after I introduce that and I kind of get you calibrated around the job search, we're going to dive into one of the most important elements. Here again, at the spirit of it being January and new beginnings and reinvigoration, I want to start at the beginning and help you. I'm going to show you exactly a wonderful process that you can go through to choose the right job for you. It's the exact same formula I used to change careers twice. You don't need to be a career changer to use it. The pro forma and the process is the same. We're going to get into what it is, why it's important, how to build it, how to use it. It's really great. I'm going to demo it for you so you can really understand how to go about this, because it's something that I think a lot of people really mess up. So glad to have everybody. If you are here with me live, get in the chat. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you need. If you got any questions, put some question marks in the beginning of the of your question so I can find it. And if you're watching this on a recording, welcome to you too. Now, I talked about my 10 by 10 job search formula. If you've been with me for a while, and a while could even be just the last couple of weeks, but we're a couple of weeks here into January. And during this month, I always like to give you holistic job search approach tools. And I have been circulating, if you were on my email, this, don't worry, I'm going to show you the inside here in a second on the screen. But this is a booklet that I built. I've been calling it my Swiss Army knife for job searching. It is an assessment that takes just a few minutes for you to walk through, that'll help you illuminate the things you're doing well about your job search and the things you need to improve. And then after you go through that, there's a section in there on the 10 most important aspects of the job search, the 10 steps that I would take in each of the areas that will give you the biggest bang for your buck, and also the biggest mistakes that people make. So there's even a little troubleshooting section. It's really, really wonderful. If you've been with me, you probably have gotten it over the last couple of weeks, along with 3 email lessons. One on developing self-awareness and doing some self-assessing. The second one is on networking. And the third email lesson is on job interviewing. If you have not gotten those, don't worry about it. There's a link in the description. Actually, Kara, could you also maybe add a link to the chat so people can grab it? You grab it, you get the download right away. And then immediately, I think shortly thereafter, the way we have it set up is you'll get the first email lesson, and then over the next 2 mornings, you'll get the next ones. Let me show you what this looks like inside, and I want to just take a quick moment and show you what we actually have here. This is the booklet. There's a little bit on me. Really, the most important thing about my bio is probably the links for you to get some additional goodies. And then, like I mentioned, there's an assessment in here. And I've highlighted in this booklet the 10 most important elements I think there are in the job search. And it starts with self-assessing. And actually, to give you a little foreshadowing here, we're gonna talk a bunch about this today. Actually, the whole lesson, the detailed lesson, is going to be about that. But you can rate yourself based on the guidelines that I've given you here. And then it walks you through. The first part is self-assessing. The second part is doing your homework to investigate the employers, then marketing yourself. That's things like your resume, your covers, your LinkedIn. How do you pitch yourself? That's actually a little bit more explicit about cover lettering. Then the search itself. That's number 5. It goes through, are you networking effectively? I give you some qualitative stuff there. Are you preparing effectively for the for the interviews. Are you interviewing well? Are you continuing the dialogue beyond the interview to gain yourself some points? It's really, really important to be able to set yourself apart there. And then, negotiating. Sorry if that got a little small here. That's my hand. That's my hand slipping. And then there's some other little elements here. There's a whole webinar, how to find a job you love. That's about an hour-long webinar that you can watch that goes into detail on each of these sections if you want a little bit more help. Then as we get into the grid here, the areas that I just showed you are outlined here in the column on the left. And then what those areas are, what the biggest mistakes are that people make when they do each one of those steps, and then what the pro tip is for you to make sure that you are getting yourself started in the right, going down the right path in each of these areas. So it's absolutely a wonderful booklet. You can see that. It goes through all that stuff. That's free. And then I also give you the email lessons that go along with it. So in the area of self-assessing, in the area of networking, and in the areas of interviewing, those are three, in my opinion, those are the three most important areas of your overall job search to get it right. I know you got to put a nice resume together. I know you got to do a lot of other stuff, but I've got a lot of stuff out there that you can go at. So I want you to have that gift. If you don't have it, go grab it. Go grab it. It's really, really important that you're looking at this thing systematically, and that you have the right steps and you know what to do in each one of them. So grab that. And the second part of today is really about, I was thinking about January and at first I thought I might walk you through all these, and I thought, well, I already have the How to Find a Job You Love webinar out there. If you want to go watch that, you can do that. So I didn't want to reprise that here live. It's there for all of you to access. I thought it might be better to talk about what I think, my humble opinion, is the most important, the most neglected, the area where you introduce the biggest mistakes that you make in your process, and it's also job searching process and career and overall career, and it's also the spot where you likely cost yourself happiness, the most happiness, because you do not do this. And what am I talking about? This is about being self-aware, self-internalization, actualization, realization, assessing what it is through reflection of what it is that you need and using that information. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what it is that I'd like you to do. Now, this could be as simple, just to conceptualize this, and hang with me here because I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. But this could be as simple as making a list. Just making a list. What is it that drives your happiness? What is it that you need? The must-haves, the nice-to-haves, those kind of things. And, you might be thinking, well, Andy, I know myself. I don't really need to do any self-awareness, analyzation. I don't need to make a list. I've been living with myself for 50 years or 30 years or whatever it might be. And I understand what you mean, and you probably do know yourself at a high level. But I would also say that I, as an executive recruiter, and my firm, Mile Walk, who has interviewed more than 15,000 people, I've personally interviewed more than 12,000 people, and in all of those interviews, as we pose these questions to people, because we want to make sure that as a recruiter, we are making sure that we are not only working on behalf of our customers to find them the right people, but we're also the people that we are recruiting. We want to make sure that we are matching them with the right opportunities. So it's important for us to ask up front what it is that drives your happiness. And when we do that to every single person that we've ever talked to, most of them really, really struggle with it. And why is that? Think about this. Most of you have probably never even job searched. You really haven't. You probably have job changed. Some of you've job searched, I'm sure. But think about the process that you would go through when you were just job changing, where somebody called you and friend called you, recruiter called you, and you thought, hey, that's a great opportunity. I'm going to entertain it. Well, that's not really job searching. And you probably haven't gone through that exercise of sitting down and creating that list to the extent that you truly know what makes you happy. So when we pose these questions to the people that we speak with, most of them have a very, very difficult time telling us what it is exactly that they like, what it is that they like. It's very difficult. It's easy for you to tell me what you don't like. It's easy for you to tell me what you don't like. Something's missing. I need it. I need it. Something is in my way. I need it removed, and so on. It's painful. But think about if I gave you a blank sheet of paper and asked you to list everything you need. You'd probably have a difficult time with it. And the magic here is not in knowing you should do this reflection, but actually doing it and then using it correctly. And why is this important? Why is it important to make a simple list, or actually a little more exotic one like I'm going to show you? But why is it important to make a list? Because when you think about it, if you are going to make good decisions, you need to know what drives your happiness. And you need to create some type of tool in order to evaluate your options. So when you think about it, this is really about making great choices. If you have a list of things that drive you, you are going to be able to make great choices if you measure your options or create your options against that list. So think in terms of your career. What career should I have? What employer should I choose? Even if I'm within an organization, within roles, should I stay as an analyst in this unit? Or should I go be a product engineer in that unit? Those kinds of things. You are continually making choices. And even if you're choosing just between staying put in your current job or going somewhere else, you're choosing between two options. If you're sitting on the couch right now, or maybe you're in the living room with me on the big screen, you're still choosing between that and something that might become available to you. So you have to have a process. Now, before we get into the here's how, I want to run through the areas that I think people make the grossest mistakes and why people fail miserably at just this entire decision-making process. And the first thing is that, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago, when you think about choices, and a lot of you haven't really necessarily job searched. Well, if you are approached unsolicited, I called you as a recruiter, hey, this nice recruiter guy called me, sure, I'd entertain the call. My friend called me and said, hey, we've got an opening for an engineer at my company. I think you'll love it. Maybe you're a little worried about losing your job. And you are faced with something that is driving you to choose, but you go into reactive mode. Think about what's happening in these situations. I'm guessing a lot of you have done this, right? You go into reactive mode because an opportunity surfaced itself and you didn't do anything to surface it, or something external happened. So what's actually happening in that case? Now immediately you start evaluating the world from the outside in. Instead of being deliberate and evaluating yourself first, you're evaluating a choice and then you're measuring it against yourself. That's the wrong direction. We want to think internally and we want to move outward. So we want to think about ourselves and evaluate ourselves first. Then we want to surface the options and evaluate them as need be. And even if opportunities come to us, it's still much better not to react to something in front of us and make sure that we have our own internal benchmark. So that's something that I see people fail. And even if you had no intention of searching, you are never more at risk or making a poor choice than when somebody comes to you with an option and you weren't ready for it. Even if it was the best thing that could have ever happened to you, it's still just as far as the riskiness goes. So the reactive mode is really, really bad. The second one is you're not thorough enough. If I was sitting in an auditorium with you all right now, I'd probably start asking you questions and having you raise your hand. If you want to do this in the chat, that's fine. But some of you might have made a list. Think about this. Okay, so here's the audience poll. Raise your hand. You can go in the chat if you want to. How many of you, before you job search, actually made a list of everything that you wanted before you took your first step? There probably would be a small show of hands. And then if I asked you, did you do it in advance of your first step to looking at opportunities, there probably would be fewer of you still. And then if I said, how many of you had, say, 20 to 25 minimum on your requirements, there would be even fewer still. And what's happening, the shorter that list, the greater the likelihood that you have gaps in your information. You're making more assumptions and you have more blind spots. The longer your list, say 20, 30 items, something like that on your list, the greater the chance, not the guarantee, but the greater the chance that you have more information and you're making a more informed decision. And what happens when you make a more informed decision? It's a better decision. At least it's better, it's more educated. So the second reason why I think a lot of people have hiccups is they just don't do the deep work to the extent that they need to. And I'm going to show you what I mean by need to and that level of depth. The third thing, this one's kind of funny. I was thinking about this morning when I was running and what story I wanted to tell you about this. But you overemphasize recency. We're human, folks. We're human. So here's what happens. If something, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago too, if something is bothering you right at this moment, and I said to you, hey, Susie, can you tell me what it is that you don't like about your current situation? You probably could rattle it off, right? I don't make enough. My commute's too far. I travel too much. I hate my boss. He's a micromanager. Company's not going anywhere. I'm not learning anything. Whatever it might be. Those would be very, very easy for you to give me because they're top of mind. They're top of mind, right? And they're the sore spots. And we get more sore about the sore spots. The lows are lower for the lows than the highs are higher for the highs, if you know what I mean. I was thinking about, I'm a huge football fan. Those of you that know me well know I love my beloved Chicago Bears. So when I think about, they just gave me like 18, 20 weeks of absolute bliss. It was a phenomenal season beyond anybody's expectations. I loved watching I watch all the games no matter what. But now instead of just watching the games, I'm watching all the sports analysis, reading everything, having loads and loads of fun, but Sunday they lost. I haven't slept in 4 days because it hurts. It's on my mind. And I try to remember and think holistically what a wonderful season and all the joy. But as a fan, it's emotional. And you, as a human in a job, it's emotional. It hurts. So what people tend to do is they tend to place greater weight on the things that are wrong at the moment instead of looking at the whole picture. So your boss might be a micromanager, but that could be rectified very quickly. And just because that's rectified in your new job doesn't mean that all the other things that you need, that you've enjoyed and the luxuries you've had over the last 10 or 20 or 30 years or whatever it's been, are automatically going to come with this new package. So you need to do the deep work to make sure you got a complete list to know everything that you need and that you prioritize it and rank it based on the priority to you, not the priority to you at the moment. Right? Right at this moment, your boss you're not loving your boss. But you always want a boss who's loving, supportive, provides you autonomy, helps you grow, and so on. You will always want that. You just don't have it at the moment. So you want to make sure that gets a high priority, but no higher than it normally would. So that's what I mean about overemphasizing recency. And then, those are kind of the three biggies, and I don't even want to call this one a bonus because this one's a fact and something that you can't do much about until I show you what to do. And this is not a knock on you because I'm going to make a little fun of myself right here. But you just ain't skilled in getting the information from an employer to know if they will actually satisfy your criteria. So let's just say, sake of argument, let's just say you took the time, you actually made your list. Okay, I made my list. Andy, I made my list. I sat down, I made the 10, 20, 30 things, whatever you made me make. Okay, so I make the list. Now what? Now you got to go on an interview. Do you know what questions to ask that will actually elicit the information from the employer to know if they will be able to satisfy your criteria? So that's not something you do very often. You shouldn't change jobs very often, hopefully. So it's very difficult. So not only do you have to be self-aware and know exactly what it is that you need, but you also need to be somewhat of a skilled interrogator to know how to elicit that information. So let's talk about skills here for a second. because you all, I love my people. I think you all are great at your jobs. You might not be great at job searching, but you're great at your jobs. Okay, so you get the benefit of the doubt from me. So whatever your trade is, well, a few years ago and way beyond, my trade, hiring, job searching, and all of that stuff, I was a pro. 3 years ago, I was a pro too. So 3 years ago, or a couple years ago, I decided that I wanted to take my trade and teach you my trade in this format, where I would be talking through the lens and be able to put recorded videos together for posterity, do live streams, and so on. Well, if you needed my coaching 3 years ago and you wanted to come here and sit down at my wonderful table and get coached by me, awesome. I could coach the hell out of you. I could give you a lot of good stuff. Very good. You'd think expert, knows what he's doing. That was great. I understand it. I'll go do it. You wanted to talk to me on the phone? No problem. Got you covered. I could whistle it right to you, show you what you needed to do, and off you'd go. But put an inanimate object in front of me, and then make me teach my concepts to the camera, where you weren't even sitting behind it at that time. And even though I knew my subject matter, it was very difficult. So if you look at some of my earliest videos, go ahead and have a laugh if you want, you might think, hey, that content's pretty darn good, but that doesn't even sound like Andy. That doesn't even sound like that guy. He's so stiff. And what did I do at that time when I was learning how to do this, which is like you interviewing? Made myself some notes. Stuck them there right on the screen or underneath the little camera thing or whatever. So I had notes in case I forgot. Now, the note cards here, these ain't for me. These are for you now, okay? But in the past, I needed the notes. So what are we going to do? We got to teach you how to build some notes for you so that you have the crutch you need so that when you go into these interviews, even if you're not a skilled interrogator, at least you will know what conversations you need to have and have some dialogue around it to get the information you need to know if it can satisfy all those things that you need. Your requirements, your must-haves, your nice-to-haves, your really nice-to-haves. So let's get into let's talk a little bit about what it is that I want you to do, and then let me show you what it is I'd like you to do. So the first thing conceptually is I just want you to make a list. Okay, it could be a simple list, but I want it to be long. I want it to be a list of what you must have, what is nice to have, and what is really nice to have. Do not worry about adding stuff into the list that you think, I'll never get it. She'll never have all those qualities. I'm never going to find a wife. I'm never going to find a husband. I'm never going to find a company. Don't worry about it. I want this list long and distinguished. Okay, I want it as long as possible. Don't worry, you can rank them. You don't need to get everything. You just need to have everything on your list so that you can take that into context as you evaluate. So the longer the list, the better. The longer the list, the better. And just make sure you get everything you could possibly imagine on that list. And I'll show you the kind of things I mean here in a second. I want you to make it your list. Don't make it my list. Don't make it anybody else's list. Make it your list. Don't worry about what mom and dad say. Don't worry about what Uncle Tom told you should be doing. Don't worry about going to law school if you don't like the law, and don't go take your accounting classes or CPA exam if you don't like numbers. Okay, so make it your list. You've got to live with yourself every day, all the time. So make it your list. Make sure you make it your list. And then the other thing is kind of an extension of that, but please make it internal. Make it internal. So it's one thing to make it somebody else's list. Hey, dad told me I should do this. Mom wants me to study engineering because, there are no art jobs out there, or museums ain't hiring or whatever. I ain't going to make any money and I have to live in the basement. That's different. That's external factors of what other people want for you. That's what I'm talking about when I say yours. When I'm talking about internal, I want you to make this internal and present moment. Meaning, don't you try to be Nostradamus and predict the future. Well, I need to do this so that in a year I could do that, and then 2 years after that I can do that, and then that's what my career is going to look like, and I'm going to retire at 52 and be rich and all this good stuff. I got news for you. I really stink at predicting my future, and I'd be even worse at predicting yours. Don't listen to anybody, or don't start speculating about what you think is going to happen tomorrow. It's crazy. And here are a couple reasons why. So number one, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know if the stock market's going to crash. You don't know if the financial services industry is going to crater. You don't know if your software company is going to get bought up by that other company, go public, divest, merge, or whatever. You have no clue, and it will never happen the exact way you think it will. But the second reason, forget all that for a second. The second reason is really the most important. Imagine you. Just close your eyes for a second, keep listening to me, and imagine yourself in a role right now. You love what you do. You love the people around you. You enjoy the travel or the commute or working from home or whatever. Just imagine this for a second. And you're learning and you feel challenged, but it's not painful. Wouldn't that be pretty damn good? Wouldn't you be happy? Wouldn't you do your job better? Wouldn't you learn more? Wouldn't you be more enthusiastic? I could go on and on and on. And I guarantee you, you live each day like that, those ops are just going to fall right in your lap. It's like you're going to be walking around the world with a big horseshoe on your head. Okay, so stay in the present moment. Do not try to speculate. I have no problem with you keeping context. Like, do I want to get in an industry that's going, that might present more opportunities for me? Do I want to, telecom doesn't really, flatter me, or manufacturing. I like financial services more. That's cool. I'm cool with that. I'm just saying, don't try to predict the future. Don't try to, I laugh at people that don't take jobs with me, with the right companies, because they think that 5 years from now something's going to happen. So in 2013, I had absolutely no idea that the following year I was going to be a recruiter. None. Zilch. So please don't try to predict the future. Okay, wait, one more, then we go to show and tell. Try to make it 20 items minimum. 20 items minimum. You're going to see some here now in the show I'm going to do for you, the demo. But the longer, the better. If you come to me with 50, I'll be happy. You come to me with 60, I'll be happier. You come to me with 70, I'll be even happiest. But at a minimum, if you don't have 20 things that you care about, I'm talking everything, right? Who I get to work with, what I get to do, the training I get to take, what the comp looks like, healthcare, all that stuff, then you don't have a long enough list to make a good decision. You've got way too many gaps and too many blind spots. So let's do this. Let's go into, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. And this is the process that I went through when I changed careers. And this kind of came, actually, if you're in software, this might resemble like a software package evaluation protocol. So, but really what we're doing is we're making a list of requirements, and then we're using that to evaluate our career options and our different employers or roles or whatever. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So let me pop this up on the screen. Let me take a sip of my beautiful almond latte that I made right before the show. That's probably cold now. All right, you should be seeing a spreadsheet, and I love this spreadsheet. This, by the way, this spreadsheet is, my boot campers get this all filled out. What you are looking at now on this top row are, there's criteria. This is what I'm talking about, making your list. Column A is your list. Column B is your sub list. So these things in column A are really kind of high-level areas that people care about. Now, you're seeing some names there like appreciation, atmosphere, autonomy, and those areas are basically the areas that most people in the world that I've interviewed, this is what they care about. So remember I said, hey, we've evaluated 15,000 people. Well, column A and what you're seeing and what I started to fill in for people, for my boot campers, is those 15 things: appreciation, autonomy, atmosphere, boss, challenge. Is it a collaborative environment? commute, growth, people, role, that kind of stuff, my traveling. And there's about 15 or 16 of the top things that people generally care about. But in each of those areas, and I partially, you might, if you're looking over here on the leftmost column and you see those numbers and you see all those skips, well, below each one of these are all the secondary criteria where the real money happens, and that's where you break out. So culture, for example, in and of itself isn't a criteria. I mean, culture is made up of the adjectives that you would use to describe the culture. So what you want to do is you want to blow this out. So what are the ones that you care about? So now in here in this list, there are 20 of them, but I'm just showing you 3 for illustrative purposes. Is it an advance-based? Is it an apolitical environment or really political environment? Is it open and welcoming and communicative or not? And then others are, entrepreneurial and all that good stuff. But basically what you do is you kind of give yourself these little groupings and you're making a list. So, you can put it all in one column. It really doesn't matter. But I liked to show people that there was a high-level assessment that we made from all the people that we spoke with, and this is what they cared about. Now, you don't need to care about that, but isn't it like way better to go from a tool and then cross stuff out than try to generate this from scratch? So because this exercise is so painful, the people that enrolled in my bootcamp, I wanted them to have an awesome starting point so that they can do this quickly and have a very complete view. So I think this entire spreadsheet is something like 86, 87 lines. But you get my gist. Make the list. Then, okay, that's great. You reflected. You made your list. But now what? Well, make sure you blow out the secondary criteria, and then here's what you do. Based on what's important to you, you want to go and you want to rank it. Remember I said, hey, the boss thing, my boss who's a micromanager might be very painful right now, but you want to take the emotion out of this very emotional decision and you want to make it more objective. The way for you to make it more objective is to go through, identify everything that you need, everything that you need in these columns, and then go and put a numerical value on how much appreciation is important to you. Maybe this is a 10. Maybe this is, maybe this is a 5. What did I just do there? Hang on a second. Sorry, slip of the hand. So maybe it's a 5. Atmosphere, maybe that's a 5, and so on. So anyway, you want to go through and you want to rate the importance. And what this does is it gives you a universal benchmark to measure all of your evaluations and your opportunities. Then what you want to do is everybody who is in this, here, hang on, let me see if I can very quickly without. Everybody who is in here watching this, you likely have an employer that you are currently at. That's fine. Your first evaluation should be your current employer. Take stock in what you're currently doing. So even if you just left a job or you got let go, give yourself an assessment. Here, let's get down here. Give yourself an assessment of how you would score your current employer. What this does is it lets you dispassionately, I mean that in a good way, look at, well, what did I actually have where I am? Am I as really unhappy as I think? Or could I fix the boss thing or the autonomy? If I got more autonomy and that 3 became an 8 or a 9, in my assessment of how closely it aligned for me and my liking, then would I be happier? Maybe I should go to my boss and say, listen, can you give me some more autonomy to improve my happiness for my current state? That is a choice. That is actually a great place for you to start. So my point to this is all of you are choosing between at least 2 things, whether it's one career or another, or one employer or another, or my current employer, and now I'm going to bring myself to the market, and you will have a second option if you ultimately leave. So the first thing you want to do is take some stock of where you are. And then what you would do is you would just go in here and score yourself in this column, and you basically would come up with a weighted average. So what you have here is 5 times 5 is 25 points. And then although I scored higher in autonomy, that's more important to me, but my current situation says I don't really have a lot of autonomy. That's a 3. That gets 24 points. What you do is you score it up and you give yourself a number. Now, this number is relatively arbitrary, but as you bring yourself to the market and you start evaluating different careers, right? See if I can. As you start evaluating different careers, sorry about that. In column I, then what you want to do is you want to assess, if you go on an interview, if you go on an interview, you start scoring the new employer. So if the atmosphere is 5, most important to me, how does this new potential employer actually fit? How does the new employer, is the boss going to provide me autonomy? How much do I like the boss? What's the challenge look like? And then that's automatically scored for you. 5 times 8 is 40. And basically what you're doing is you're giving yourself a weighted average, and it looks like this option is considerably greater when I factor in everything that's important to me in the weight in which it's important. And so what this is helping you do is neutralize between different careers that you might need to investigate, different employers that you might need to investigate, and different roles within an employer that you might need to investigate. But it all goes back to making sure that you have this list and you understand this column A is that you are making a list that's helping you actually, sorry folks, let me see if I can move this. There you go. This list that's actually helping you determine how things align to you. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. The point is, make the list, make your priorities, and score them up. So this is my current situation. This is a potential new option for me. This is another new option for me. Some of you are weighing options between different employers. But this is a great way to use that list to measure everything against yourself internally. And by the way, it is never, never too late to put that together. It is never too late to put that together. So if you might need to rewatch the recording, but don't worry. So this is recorded for you, so you can kind of go back and jot those things down. But the thing that I want to make sure that you understand, bear with me here as I move some things around the screen. The point is that most people, when they go into these modes, when they go into reactive mode, they start looking at the surface of things and the pretty people and the artwork on the walls and other things that they get distracted by, and they lose sight of what's important to them. They lose sight of what's important to them. Have you ever bought a car and you go into the car dealership and you get out of your car that's like 8 years old or 10 or 20 years old, and you walk in and you get in there, you smell the seats, and you're distracted by the lights on the dashboard, and you start forgetting that safety's really important and other things are really important, and that this car got really bad reviews because its airbags weren't deploying on like 60% of its crashes or whatever. You know, like that's the kind of stuff that happens. So what you need is a checklist to make sure that you are looking at the right stuff the right way in the right relation to all your criteria. And a tool like that, you build one of your own. Join my boot camp, you get one for free with the boot camp. Of course, you got to pay the the money to get in the program. But that's the important thing. So what we're trying to do here is make sure that you are being proactive. So if you are just starting your process, this is one of the best places to start. If you are in the middle of interviewing, get this tool in order and start using it for the things that you're going through. And even if maybe you interviewed and you didn't get something, start looking at the gaps. And then as new opportunities surface, use this. And if you're midway through with some organization, build the tool and start evaluating them. And if you didn't ask questions related to those topics, then go back to the employer and ask them. So for every item that you have on your list, you should have a question for the employer to know whether the employer can satisfy it. That's kind of the second step in the process. But the first place we got to start is making sure that you got your list. All right, so I hope you like that. For those of you that are watching this on the recording, I'm going to say so long, and I'll see you in a week or so. For those of you that are here, I want to tell you about my boot camp, just a couple minutes, and then I'm going to go into a nice Q&A for you guys. A lot of you are on my email list. You know I am running a live version of my job search boot camp this month. It starts tomorrow, and I just want to tell you what's in it. I'm not going to press you to enroll in it right this minute, but I want you to see what's out there. If you are on the fence or considering it, I at least want to be able to walk you through it. We'll just spend a quick couple of minutes, and then we'll dive into the Q&A, and I'll go through the chat like we normally do. So give me a second here. Bear with me. And I love this program. I mean, this program, my job search bootcamp, we've had more than 1,200 or something like that people who've gone through it over the last year. And as I mentioned, it expires today. But effectively, what's in this is it's my signature course, and I think the most important thing, it's broken up into 5 modules, and we do it live. It's to get a feel. It's kind of like live office hours. It's a bit different because it's a private, smaller group. We do it in Zoom. But there's 5 modules. They're all recorded for you, so you get them forever and ever. All the tools, templates, and everything is right there in the system as it relates to the different modules. You get lifetime access, you get lifetime support, and I run it about 4 times a year live, so you can come back as much as you want. Now, what it includes is, if you enjoyed some of the stuff that I showed you today, we're going into a much deeper dive on the self-awareness stuff. That's the first part of the program. That's the stuff we're going through tomorrow. Everything about how to think through who you are, what you want, your headline, your elevator pitch, your why, verifying your why, making sure that your source of inspiration will not die, and all the things that you need, kind of like the spreadsheet. You get the spreadsheet all filled out and all that good stuff. And then the second module is on marketing. That's everything related to the resume. There are 2 deep sessions on the resume. One we do live, one is already recorded for you, but it's everything you need to know about writing the resume, your cover letters, and your LinkedIn profile. And then there's a second bonus session about resumes that have everything to do with layout for all of the most difficult and actually not so uncommon situations. Stay-at-home moms, people with gaps in their resume, people that are subcontractors, contractors, mergers, acquisitions, all kinds of goodies like that. Then the third aspect of the bootcamp is everything you need to know about the job search itself, bringing yourself to the market, and all the activities that you should be doing to find the right job the fastest. Actually, this session 3 is the one that people need the most help with. When you need to bring yourself to the market, you need to know how to do that fast, effectively, and in the best light. So that one is really typically the place where people have the most trouble, and I think are, you know, the ideas and the concepts there, they're blown away. The fourth is everything you want to know about interviewing, prepping, all that good stuff. Session 5 is all about getting paid what you deserve. It's not solely about how to negotiate, because it's everything you need to do from the time you fill out the application throughout your entire interviewing process to make sure that you are teeing up the negotiation, discussion, and offer effectively, and then also getting paid the right amount, even when you need to counteroffer, and how you do that, and what are the scenarios, and what's the comebacks, and all that good stuff. And then I mentioned there's a bonus module on resumes. There's also a bonus module on some things and adjustments that you should do right at this moment, it being the beginning of the year, or even toward the end of last year, but the beginning of this year. It's really a nice supplement. And then here's the thing that I think is really important to stress, though. The reason most people struggle, whether you are in a training program or have enrolled in another training program, is because there isn't an overall cohesive strategy to it. The bootcamp puts it all together. There's an entire framework for you. That's what is going to get you the results you want. There's not only the strategy, but the strategy and the structure and the tactics and the tools are what ultimately give you the speed. You're also going to have the support. That's everything that you need related to asking me questions or the communities that we create, but basically you have lifetime support and access. It's like lifetime email support to me, to Kara, and the team. There is a video if you want to watch it, but I would stress that keep your eye on this page because this page has the most up-to-date package, and I do need to stress that this package goes away tonight at midnight Pacific time. But it's self-paced, so you don't need to come to all the sessions. They're all recorded. If you wanted to enroll today, you could binge watch the whole thing before we started tomorrow. Of course, you'd probably be up late tonight. It's video, it's audio. You can take it with you. It's mobile. You can download all this stuff. There's a bunch of other things that you get. There's private boot camper sessions. There will be in the months we don't do the live shows. You do get a book. But this is something that I'm offering this one time. It's new. It's only available in this package. And this is the kind of thing that goes away if you don't enroll before the live session. I've added a $400 course that I'm putting in here for free so that I don't only want to help you find your dream job, but I want to make sure that you start it effectively by knowing what to do here in the first 90 days, how to position yourself immediately to be doing the right stuff to get promoted very quickly. There are 20 things you need to do. So you need to know what those are, and you need to start them right away. There's also ways, generating ideas, keys to advancement. I teach you how to come up with the right ideas and projects and improvements for you and your company. That to me is the biggest key to being successful. And I teach you all my organizational tactics, how to plan your quarter, your month, your week, your day, your minutes, and all that good stuff. And then also, this is something where I think people fall flat on. They don't do enough as it relates to getting ready for their performance reviews. You shouldn't be getting ready for your performance review the week before you have it. You should be getting ready for your performance review the day you walk in the job. So what should you be doing on a daily basis, and what should you be collecting and accumulating and packaging to make sure that when it comes time for your review, you're ready to discuss it, and when it comes time to being promoted, you have the information you need. Now, normally the boot camp is $597, and the bigger packages are $1,000 and $1,500. I run it all the time. You can buy it any day, any year, any time of day. What changes is this price. This is now $497. And the other thing that changes, which will go away, there's some things related to the book. There's some things related to the Career Accelerator program that you won't be getting if you don't get in on this live package. So the bonuses are what I tend to vary. Just for those that have asked me, well, I kind of see it, it's $600, it's $500, give or take. That's true, and it's always available. What's not always available are the bonuses that I offer each time we go through this. There are tons and tons of testimonials. You can go through this. You can look at them. Everything is 100% guaranteed. If you buy the program and you are not happy within 30 days, I give you enough time. You get to come to the live sessions. We have very, very few people who ever return this, because once they see what's in it and the ongoing coaching and all that good stuff, they love it. I do have some other programs. If you've been jilted by other trainers, there's some other things. If you are with me in the Mile Walk Academy and you've purchased something for $97 or $297 or whatever it might be, if you want to upgrade to the boot camp, you just pay the difference. That's my policy. I don't believe you should be paying more to get my signature program. So we just refund whatever the difference is. I have a load of, here's the schedule, the live schedule, the boot camp we're running in January. That starts tomorrow. And then we're doing the Career Accelerator program in February. If you are an existing boot camper already, if you've already purchased the program, if you purchased it last year, if you purchased it 12 months ago, 13 months ago, whenever we first launched this, you get the Career Accelerator program. That's the kind of guy I am. I want you to have the upgrades as I get them. Once you are in my bootcamp, you are in the bootcamp for life. So the different promos and packages that I offer, I just keep adding them for the existing people. So it's a sweet deal, a really, really sweet deal. There are, Q&A on the site. You can go check that out. I want to get into the Q&A, but I do want to mention, this stuff works. I mean, I've got loads and loads of people that have gone throughout this year that absolutely crushed it. Cassie was unemployed, got in the program. 3 weeks later, she had a job paying, actually, I think all cashed out was more than $50K more this year. Scholastico's a lawyer, found her job within 4 weeks within a huge pay increase. Kathy was from out of the country, moved in with her family, was self-employed, had her own company, made a good bunch of money, wanted to be a consultant. The coaches she started contacting laughed at her, said you'll never be able to get a job like that pays you what it is that you want. She found me, and 7 weeks later she had 3 offers and took a couple $100,000 job. So, the stuff works. Mark Peckney, great story. Senior project management resource, was kind of struggling with his interviews. Ends up getting about a $44,000 pay increase. And then this one, I want to kind of buzz through these all. The big thing here is I like these testimonials and emails because they talk about the community. They talk about building confidence. They talk about, I didn't know my why. When you look at this one up here with Dave Wired, great guy. Just bit of encouragement and confidence it gave me. He's a technologist. Bootcamp was awesome. Mike is in the educational field, in the teaching area, K-12 teacher, but he reevaluated himself, much like the exercise I just showed you, found his why, found a new opportunity within that field, but a very different type of position. Is really happy. Larry jumped in. He was kind of midstream. Larry was actually interviewing, and he said, "Hey, I came across your interviewing webinar, and I want to get in the boot camp. How can I do that?" He got in, and he said, I'm already down the path. He got in the boot camp. We got him situated. We went back and forth via the email while he was interviewing. Got a $25,000 pay increase, which turned into a $30,000 pay increase plus a 15% bonus. So just the stories go on and on. Stephanie is in gerontology. So we've got people from all over. Jeff Brewington, he's in sales of software sales in the healthcare industry. So just loads and loads of testimonials. And actually, I got about 3 dozen of these that I haven't even put into the package yet from people that have gone through in the last 3 months that have been sending me their stories. So I want you to know it's out there. I'm happy to take your questions like we do our normal live hours Q&A. But if you have some questions, I just want to make sure you can ask me here about the bootcamp as well. That package expires at midnight Pacific time. So you've got, I don't know, about 12, 15, 14 hours if you're watching this, or if you're with me now. If you're watching this later today, you might have less. And if you're on my email list, you'll probably get a reminder here in about, 6-8 hours. But anyway, I hope that was helpful. I don't usually run through that during my live sessions, but being that we're starting tomorrow and I'm going to be off from you guys for a couple weeks, because when I go into boot camp, I give them all my attention. It is a very, very fun program, and I want them to have all of me. So I hope that helps, and I'm going to now go to the chat. Kara, how we doing? That was 53 minutes. Boy, that's a lot. Still got 128 people. I love it. Okay, Kara is telling me there's a couple questions. Christina was asking, she just needs the negotiation module. Christina, we don't sell that a la carte, but for everybody who thinks they need just one thing, when people, if I had a nickel for everybody who said, I just need that, I just need the resume, I just need the interviewing, when they go through the boot camp, I get these emails that say, I thought I had one problem, and the problem wasn't here, it was over there. Getting this all to fit. In order for you to interview effectively, you need to have what I just showed you today. So that occurs in Module 1. And prepping for an interview occurs in Module 1. As far as the questions that you need to evaluate, this all fits together. That's why there's 5 deep sessions. So we don't do that. If you are interested, there is a lower level package, which is my interview intervention course, which has just interviews, and there is some negotiation components in that for a more modest fee. You can go to the Mile Walk Academy for that. And then Dan Morris asked, are the new bootcamp modules new from last time? Do I thus need to reprint it? Dan, some of it is massaged. You probably can follow along with what you had. I wouldn't go waste all the paper. Don't worry about that. And then Owen is asking about the trade-in program. Here's how the trade-in program works. If you are in the Mile Walk Academy already, just email support@milewalk.com and say, hey, Andy, hey, Kara, I'd like to trade up. What we'll do is we'll do one of two things, whatever you want. We'll give you a coupon for the difference. So if you paid $297, we'll give you a link for $200. If you enroll, some of you have enrolled. So some of you paid $297 and then you enrolled and paid $497. So then I have to refund you $297. So we do it. We see all this. We get alerts anytime anybody enrolls, all this stuff. So it's really easy. You don't need to worry. If you're in the Mile Walk Academy, you trade up now, you're going to be hearing from us within an hour. And we'll get you all situated. But you can send an email to support@milewalk.com if you're not comfortable just enrolling. Then we'll just refund. But these are great questions, and I love that you're asking them, and I hope you guys jump in. I really do. All right, Kara, I want to go to the chat because, I mean, these people, 116 people still, I love it. So let's go. Hey, everybody. Man, I miss you guys. You know, I know people, I get emails all the time about thank you for being so generous and all this stuff, and I love it. Guess what? This was on my list. I made a list. Actually, it's out in the public domain somewhere if you Google it with the career changing in my name. And one of the things was I need to be able to teach, and I need to be able to help people, and not for just, I need to make a living and my business needs to survive. But, you know, we did 48 shows last year like this. So, and I'm not asking for a nickel from anybody. You can come free. You don't have to buy anything. But I just, it's important to me. I like to be helpful. All right. Jess, how are you? Good night to you. Sarah, how are you? Finally making it. Awesome. Oh, Mom is here. Hey, Mom, I need to call you. I've been super busy. We got a lot of searches going on too. Manisha, how are you? Hey, Manisha, wonderful. Anisha's saying, I'm absolutely astounded by how much you are giving away for $497. Thank you. You are welcome. Folks, I'm telling you, it's a deal. I mean, some of you ask me, why don't I have really cheap programs? But my goal is not to give you something cheap. My goal is to get you where you want to go using what I think is the right way to do it. And I want to give you a lot of value for a reasonable price. So if you can't swing the $497, email me, let me know what your issue is, and I will see if I have a lower cost product that you can enroll in, or I will point you to my free stuff that you can use, like that 10x10 and other things that will help you with various aspects of it, of your Ina, how are you? Ina's a boot camper. If you guys, by the way, if we have any boot campers here, can you chime in if you're having fun? I know actually a bunch of people have joined in the last 3 weeks. They even joined before we started this really big promotion, which is great. And we had a lot of people join this week from the emails that I've been sending out. But let everybody know how you're enjoying it. Ina, you're going to get to go to your first full-blown live ones, I think. Mike Morgan, how are you? Eugene, great to see you. See. First timer. Can we all give Eugene a first timer high five? Hey, by the way, I always forget. If you are loving this, please click the like button and share it. It always is helpful to meet new friends and circulate the stuff. Eugene, here we go. Should I wait to finish up my graduate studies and pick up my verification before I start applying for jobs? I would not do that. Because it's March. I would get rolling. Target graduation date is March 2019, which is like in 10 weeks. Actually, maybe less, if depending on when that date is. Happy New Year, Lisa, to another boot camper. Mark, another boot camper. Great to see you. Daniel Morris, good to see you. My New Year's was quiet, and I worked a ton. But I'm glad to be back with you guys. Hey, Amy, how are you? First live. Okay, great. James Ray. Dude. James Ray is one solid dude. I don't know what you're doing here, buddy, but God love you. Santa, how are you? From Jamaica. Christina, thank you. I got an abundance of energy. I've always been 1,000 water. I'm sure I annoy the hell out of some people. If you meet me or talk to me or watch one of my videos and you don't walk away more charged, I failed. So I want to give you the good energy. You got nothing but love from me. I totally support you. I genuinely support you. Everybody who is nice to me, I wish you the best. And I'll support you and I'll respond to you and all that good stuff. And then I get a bunch of hate mail too, and those people not so much. All right, my man. Houston, Texas. Mimi, how are you? Andres. All right, we got a question. Did I miss a question? Kara, am I on the right? Oh wait, I am. Okay. Andres, here you go. When in the job search process, is it better to say that you need sponsorship for working visa? Okay, Andres, great question. Everybody, I know how tricky this is, especially, and I don't know what the other countries are like, but in the US, and we have H-1B visas. We got different visas that you can apply for. And a number of these visas, most of them are expensive. And a lot of individuals need the companies to pay for them in order for them to work here. I am a fan of any of these, anything that involves communication of your situation, anything you have going on, anything. The sooner you do it, the better off you will be. I have some caveats here. If you need a visa, you are going to cost more than somebody who doesn't need a visa. That's just the fact of the matter. What employers will absolutely hate is if you go through an entire process, you did not mention that you were authorized or not authorized to work in the U.S. They get all the way down to the end with you. They spent hours and days. They want to hire you, but they realize they can't afford the additional dollars for your visa. It's going to totally bum them out. On the other hand, if you do it right away and you are phenomenal, let's say, I don't know what the visas cost. They're $6,000, $8,000, $10,000. I mean, some of these are pricey. I always teach that first thing you want to do is you want to show your value, and then you talk money last. But this is a component that could be construed as you hiding something. So in this case, so for all of you that have watched my negotiation videos and all that good stuff, and I say you always want to defer speaking about comp and anything related to that, the elements like this, because they can be construed or misconstrued as you hiding something, I'm more of a fan of getting them out early. Now, you're still not talking about comp, but it is a comp element. It's a cost to them. So a lot of companies will be okay with sponsoring visas. Now, what I would also do is you could email in, before you submit your resume or whatever. There might be a frequently asked questions on their site about submittals and those kind of things, and you could look for, do they sponsor visas or not? Some companies put that on there, some companies don't. But I know this is kind of a long answer to what you're asking, but it's not a cut and dry thing. But generally, my default is to mention it as early in the process as possible, because then they'll know. And you can say, hey, listen, I recognize that you would need to pay for this, but I wanted you to know. And then see what they say. And then if they say, well, let's see, and then it'll be about your performance. And some companies will take you through the process because they're willing to pay for it if you're really great. So that's what I would do. That's what I would do on that. Hey, let me shut this little annoying thing here. Okay, hope that helped. Amber, how are you? Mimi, good to see you. Finley, hey buddy, did you just get a book maybe? By the way, speaking of, it's still free. It's $7 shipping and handling anywhere in the world, anywhere. And you get the ebook, the audiobook, and a bunch of other stuff. Check it out. The link is in the description. It will really help. It will really help. So if you get in the boot camp, by the way, I ship it to you free too. So it's an extra $7. See, that'd be reason alone to pay $497 to get a $7 book. All right. Oh, God. All right. Jim, Chattanooga. Hey, my wife and I are going to Nashville here in the not so distant future. Glenn, how are you? Amy, great to see you from Fort Wayne. Victor, how are you, buddy? I think you're my Victor. Good to see you're moving along. Darshan, how you doing, buddy? Connie Cotter, how are you? Oh, you're probably gone. I'll see you tomorrow. Christina? Yes, Chicago, born, raised. I'm sure I'm going to die here. Leslie, how are you? Happy New Year. Richard, how are you? Steve, hey, buddy. Another boot camper. Alex, Mike Morgan. Sweet. Thomas, how are you? Gary Madron, great talking to you the other day, buddy. Hopefully you and Kara got synced and we can get that rolling. Michelle, hang in there. Michelle with one L. That's how my sister spells it too. Love it. Elena, how are you? Frank, how are you? Thanks for that, Frank. Glad you liked the book. Alan, first time. Man, we got a lot of first timers. Overland Park. Good to see you. Can we give everybody some claps and hugs and stuff? Kara's telling me. Oh, here we go. DJ. Should you trust third-party recruiters to decide if you are a good fit for a position? No. Hold on. DJ, I love that you asked this because we're going to do a whole session on recruiters. But here, good. Okay. Here's the deal. I and Kara are third-party executive recruiters. Doesn't matter. Third-party recruiter, anybody who does not work for the organization that you are being paired with. Wait, I love that you asked this question, and I love that I showed you that spreadsheet. So when I recruit somebody, and I'm a third-party recruiter, or whether you contacted me or I contacted you, and we are having a dialogue, and I'm asking you what you like and what you need and what you want, and if you had that spreadsheet that I showed you earlier, you'd be able to tell me that. Then I, as the liaison between the company and you, would know if the company fits that. And then I would be able to articulate that to you. And I would be able to say to you, DJ, here you go. You're looking for autonomy. Your boss will provide it because I know who the boss is. You're looking for growth and you're telling me this is where you want to grow. I know that's there. Hey, you want a commute that's within 6 miles? Well, guess what? This is 10. So there's a delta there. I can tell you all of these things. So now you've got some visibility. By the way, this is what they should be doing for you. So now I, as the executive recruiter, have to talk with you about the opportunity itself, whether you fit it from a skills perspective, but whether it fits you from a desires perspective, your musts, your nice to haves, and so on. Then we have an open dialogue about where it fits and where I think it does and doesn't, and to what degree it doesn't. And if your commute thing was a super nice to have, then it's not a big deal, right? So it didn't match, but it's not a big deal. You know, your wife or your husband or your sister or your brother can pick up the kids or whatever from the daycare. So you don't need to worry about it. These are things that you need to know going in. Then you go in and you interview. You're ultimately the one who's going to decide, is this the right job for me? Because you're going to take your spreadsheet, you're going to take your list, you're going to take your criteria, you're going to go in there, you're going to interview, you're going to evaluate the employer, and then you are going to decide. I don't decide for you. Kara doesn't decide for you. No third-party recruiter decides for you. Your wife doesn't decide. Your husband doesn't decide. Your friends don't decide. You always decide. The third-party recruiter should be leveraged to help you prepare, to help you discuss these things to help you understand what the organization is looking for and what to be prepared for. And then also talk with you after you get out of there so that you can have some dialogue about, how'd you do? Did you get the information you needed? What are you thinking? The recruiter is a second checkpoint for, actually, is that accurate or not? Did you hear the right thing? Did you misunderstand something? That's what a recruiter who's a good recruiter will do for you. Imagine the added benefit of having that. But if you build a process for yourself, like the one I showed you earlier, that will help you choose the right job, the right company, the right career, or whether that organization is good for you. So it's not about trust. At first, the third-party recruiter is nothing more than a phone call or an interview with somebody who can be a conduit for you out into the rest of the world. So somebody, whether you're looking or not, that person is a window or a vehicle into other opportunities for you. Now, the recruiter is evaluating you, but they're really evaluating, do you have the right skills, and is this opportunity or opportunities that they have the right ones for you based on what you want? So trust me, it is really good if you can get access to third-party recruiters because they can be really helpful. I spend more time interacting with my candidates, than they do interviewing with my clients, because that's a process that we have to go through to make sure that they're making the right decision. Because I, as a third-party recruiter, do not want to make a mismatch. It is not about the money. You have any idea what it's like to have an unhappy client that just paid you a ton of money to go find somebody? So keep that in mind, that the recruiter does not want to have a mismatch. Nothing is worse than that. Nothing is worse than pairing somebody to a company and it not working out. Trust me, is very painful. Very painful. All right, hope that helps. I'm sure that was longer than you wanted, but you got me right there. Mark Peckney, I want to show of hands if anybody has more than 9 kids. Mark, that was awesome Christmas card. I actually had to text Mark Peckney to make sure that all the kids in the picture were his. I love it, dude. Do you see what it's like when you're a boot camper and, we can email and we can text and that kind of stuff and we send Christmas cards and all that good stuff. That's how it is. Come to the family parties. All right. Thomas, how are you? They even told me I was a good interview. Sweet. Wayne Palermo, how you doing? Jam. Did I need cover letter of explanation of low GPA for teaching assistant jobs? No. You do not need to explain your GPA in a cover letter. Talk in cover letters or any vehicles of communication, verbal, written, handwritten, typed, texted, emailed, I don't care what you did, cover letters, call them whatever you want. You talk about what you are, not what you're not. So you are not a low GPA. You are something that you have to offer. Talk about that. Talk about how what you have matches what they need. And there are some cover letters that I have out there that are free that you can take and knock your socks off, but you do not need to explain that. Morgan, hello from Canada. We got lots of I got a lot of people in the boot camp from Australia, Canada, the UK, and then China and Japan too. Lisa Yates, boot camper, how are you? I am being approached more frequently for consulting work versus permanent employment. Can you provide tips on what a job searcher should be asking about during the interview process? That's an awesome question, Lisa. By the way, since you are a boot camper and you have access to the Career Coachcasts program, because you got that in your package. And in there, by the way, I will answer your question for the community here, but I want you to know, Lisa, that, and maybe Kara can help me out and we can privately email you access to the session that I did more recently, a few months back, on consulting, on should you take consulting opportunities. And you can watch that. That's private coaching. That's not public access. But in general, and this is very common for, and I'm saying solely, it's becoming more common for people in their 40s and 50s and 60s as employers are hiring They want to make sure that if they're hiring somebody in that demographic who has the knowledge, is a more expensive resource. Lots of times what they'll do is, and depending on whether it's a project or whether it's a finite piece of work or whatever, is they will reach out, or even the recruiters will reach out to people to see if they're open to doing something on a temporary basis. It's not a bad thing. Sure, I get if you want to find a home and you want to be there and you want to have all the benefits and all that good stuff, that's a great way to go if you don't want to be a consultant. But for those of you who are interviewing and are either you don't have full-time employment and you would like full-time employment, but you're having difficulty finding it, I would highly recommend entertaining consulting opportunities. And the reason I would do that is, number one, lots of these organizations, if you perform well, will convert you to a full-timer within 90 days or 6 months or whatever it might be. So one of the things you want to ask when you go into the role is there an opportunity for this to be a full-time hire? If there is not, that does not mean you should not pursue it, because I would rather, if you like the organization and you like the opportunity, I would rather you take it and then continue to job search. Because if you do then find something, you're going to have that as leverage that you can go back. If you want the employer that you're currently at consulting for, then you can go back to that employer and say, hey, listen, I love it here, but I have this opportunity and I need to take it because it's a full-time, and is there an opportunity to stay here? I'd rather stay here. I mean, you could do that. That's good. If you get in there and you continue your job search, but you're not finding anything that you love in either which way, when you get in there, there are a number of things that you need to do in order to make sure that you are performing well. So just because you're a contractor, you should treat it the same way. You should make sure that you understand what your goals are, say for the first month, the first 3 months. I want to make sure that I'm hitting the targets, I'm doing the right things. I'd like, frequent communication. And frequent could be once a week, it could be once a day, depending on what that is. But you want to make sure that the structure around the contract and your performance is in order and that you know what's expected of you. So a lot of the questions that I would ask would be related to that. So I just want to understand the overall context. So I have a job that I need to do, and so you're going to go through the normal stuff to get up to speed on the job. But you also have additional questions around the framework of the consulting opportunity. So you need to ask those. By the way, I go into more of this in that Coach Cast, and I would go check that out. But that's a great question. Amy, even though you didn't make a list, you can make one now. Carouseling bootcamp, how long? Okay. Quick little message. Leslie asked, how long is each of the bootcamp live sessions? To give you an idea of the timing of how much content there is. And don't quote me exactly, but it's pretty accurate. So the last bootcamp that we did was in October. Each one of the sessions was 90 minutes of flat out instruction. And then we usually have, depending on how many questions there are, because I try to answer everybody's question in the bootcamp, that's the benefit of being there live, is about another hour. So these could be 2.5 hours each. Now, if you are watching a recording, you do not need to go through all the Q&A. And in the program, we put in there all the questions and all the stuff so you can kind of sift through it. It's really pretty nice. And one of the things I probably should have done that I didn't do now is I should have showed you what the inside of the boot camp looks like. But you got the video. There's a summary of what's in the video. There's all the questions that were asked during the Q&A. There's all the downloads, and everything is outlined for you. I mean, that's the benefit of joining the boot camp and a program like that, is the framework, the structure, the sequence, the organization, the access to it. So I got 132 videos out there on YouTube, or 200 videos, whatever it is. But you got to go fishing, piecing, and trying to pull, and you're getting layers, you're not getting the whole story, all that good stuff that's out there. The benefit of enrolling in the program is having everything. And if you can't find something, you email us and we show you where it is. But it's well laid out, and they're each about an hour and a half of instruction, and then there's, and by the way, one other thing I didn't get into a ton of is when you get in the boot camp, you not only get those sessions and the Career Accelerator program, you get access to all my other courses. So I have an interviewing course, a resume course, an ultimate career course that has bite-sized videos, and all that's outlined for you. And you can go through and see what all of those are. And those are like mini lessons, short, quick bursts of different things. And that's another like $1,200 of courses that you get that you can have access to. You don't need to go through it all, but they're there for you if you need them. So I hope that helps. All right. Connie Cotter, and by the way, Connie is awesome, and I know she's not here anymore, but Connie made a killer list and followed the process, and it saved her, I don't know, at least twice, I think she told me, because when she looked at how it aligned or didn't align to what it was that she was trying to do, it came up subpar, and she was better off staying put. It helps you make good decisions. That's just one element in the boot camp in the first session. Mike, great to hear that. Daniel Morris, always good to have you, buddy. You're a good dude. Hey, Racer X, RT, how you doing, my man? Great to have that session with you right before the holidays. I know, Mark Peckney, it's killing me. All right. Just trying to find. Hey, Debbie. Debbie's a boot camper. How you doing? Let me see. What's Debbie saying here? She's a boot camper. I received a job offer with my second interview, and the hiring person told me that he was impressed with the follow-up email I sent him within 24 hours. He told me that he doesn't get them. That's crazy. Well, and you know I preach all that stuff. Brooke, how are you? She's a boot camper. Great to see you. And Debbie, one of the reasons she got hired. Awesome. Ree, how you doing? Robert Tatum, great to have you. Kelvin, great to have you. So Kelvin, this is a great question. I'm glad you asked this. Andrew, I've sent 200 plus CVs in 2 weeks with only one interview. So Kelvin, what I would recommend is a couple things. Number one, and I've talked about this at length, if you are submitting your resume into an applicant tracking system, you've got a 97% chance of not being seen, which means 3% of the resumes are being seen. And of the 3% that are being seen, only a small fraction of them are being invited in for interviews. So you got a pretty small chance, even if you're qualified. Now, there are loads of tools out there that and approaches that you can take to try to get noticed. But I recommend that the applicant tracking system submittals, what you've been doing, is the very last thing to do. And if you want to know how I would approach that, there's a video that I shot entitled 3 Free Tools to Help You Get Past the Applicant Tracking System, or something like that. 3 free tools to beat the applicant tracking system. Watch that. That'll help improve your odds of getting your resume through. However, what I would really do first is I would go back to December of last year, so just a few weeks back, and I did a job search challenge. I would watch that video and I would do the challenge and spend the next 14 days doing the job search challenge. You'll see it. It's in the video title. If you just look through my videos and sort them by the most recently released, it's within the last handful of videos. There's one on a job search challenge. I'm not going to go into it now, but all the instruction that I would give you would be that. It is impossible for me to tell what's going wrong with your 200 submittals. You could be submitting them to the wrong types of jobs. It might not be a very effective resume. You might have a lot of graphics, symbols, tables, and other things in your resume that the applicant tracking systems don't like. You might not be qualified. I have no idea. But the one thing that I will tell you is if you go watch that job search challenge video, you're going to have a lot better results. And I did one where I talked about the challenge, and then 2 weeks later, 14 days later, I shot another video, another live office hours with the results and how to overcome the issues that people encountered in the job search challenge. Those might have been my last 2 live office hours. Check those out. Those will really, really help. And anybody who is struggling should do that, should check those videos out, because I guarantee you will have better luck following that protocol over the next 2 weeks. You'll have the best if you join the boot camp, but if you're not going to join the boot camp, check that out. All right. All right. Sarah, I've freelanced since being unemployed. I know of someone in a department I'm applying at a museum. Should I ask them about my candidacy potential? Yes. No, you don't. It's not going to create doubt. If you know somebody, go to them and see if they would happily walk your resume to the right person. I hope I understood that correctly. It's always better to get referred in by somebody. If that person, I don't know if it's a he or she, would be happy to walk your resume in, that would be the route I would take. All right, Edward. I'm working in retail, but every day I dread going to work, so on and so forth. All right, Mike, Edward. Just looking for questions here, folks. Oh, here we go. The Pop-Tart. Kara, how am I doing? I don't want to miss anybody. I try to go in order here. Followed your advice. Great interview on 11/6. Said they would call next week. Did not. You said contact in 10 days. He did not return message. I called again 1 week later. Okay, wait. So some commentary there. I see it. Said I was still in the running, but they weren't hiring right then because they were waiting for state license, which I believe to be the truth. Okay, that was 6 weeks ago. Hey, keep checking my LinkedIn and theirs. Should I contact them again? Yes. Okay, here we go. The Pop-Tart. I wish I knew your name. It sounds like you might be in one of my programs, or at least you come to the live office hours if I've given you advice like this. Here's what so first off, on follow-up, folks, and this person, the Pop-Tart, interviewed. So when you interview and you want to make sure that you're getting an indication from them, they said next week. Now, if this is Friday, next week could be, or this is Thursday, Friday, or whatever, next week could be Monday through Friday. If I don't hear from them in that window, on Monday the following week, they get an email from me. Not in the morning, probably in the afternoon, because I want them to get through their email. If they do not respond, I call the next day or the next day, because they should have acknowledged. If they said they were going to get back to you, they should. You have every right. You're not being a pest in following through. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. If somebody says, hey, we'll call you tomorrow, it's today, I will call you tomorrow, and they don't call you, it's Thursday right now, they said we'll call you by Friday, and they don't, call them Monday. Okay, if they say, hey, we'll call you Monday, it's 2 days later, wait 2 days and give them a call. So if they say, hey, we'll get in touch with you soon, wait 7 days, 7 calendar days. So you want to gauge based on what they say, and if they don't tell you anything, then wait 1 week. But in your situation, I would want to get some insight on where things are. I wouldn't waste a lot of time checking LinkedIn and theirs and all that stuff. I would contact them and I would email them, and then I would give them a chance to get back to you. And if they didn't get back to me within 2 days from the email, I'd call them. You're talking about a long time. This is 2 months. I mean, so that's a long time. That's what I would do. Solid Snake, how you doing? You are welcome. I'm zipping over some of these I think I answered. Alan Burgers, how are you? I'm looking into doing some training to add hot new skills to complement my current less hot skills. I love that. Any thoughts on identifying important skills or high quality training providers? If it was me, and here's what I did. I wanted to become a recruiter in 2004, and I had never recruited a day in my life. I opened up a recruiting firm and never recruited a day in my life. That's a whole nother story. What did I do? I went and I talked to recruiters and I said, what should I read? What training should I take and buy? DVD training back then, books, and online, online wasn't a thing back then, it wasn't as prevalent. So I would, first off, I always think that people, so like when I'm looking for a great restaurant, I do one of two things. If I know people in the neighborhood I'm going, I call them and I say, hey, you tell me. Then what do? I go to Yelp or I go to the internet and I look for the ratings. I would rather have my friend's recommendation first. So the first thing, Alan, that I would do is I would email or call the people that you know in your space. And I would try to get some insight. If you don't have any friends that you can call, I'd be surprised actually, but if you don't, then I would hop online and I would literally start Googling the stuff you just asked me. And not to be funny, but I mean, like, that's what I do. And then I look and I see, like, what's the best products for this and that. And I'm starting to look for gaps in my ability to help you. So I have a process that I could, if somebody engaged me as a coach and wanted to change careers, I could teach you. I could take you by the hand and walk you right to your new job. Okay? I could do that if you could afford that and you wanted to spend the time and all that good stuff. For somebody who doesn't, there's a gap in my recommendation. Now, if you join my bootcamp, I can help you further. But if you don't do that and you only want to go free, there's a gap in what I'm willing to recommend as far as sites, books, and so on. So I have videos that do that, but those only take you so far and so on. So I have to go and do research on products and tools that are not mine that I would be willing to recommend. Or in my case, I would take or whatever. Same kind of thing. So I just go out there, I Google, I actually ask some friends, people that work in the space, what tools are you using to help, say, college students determine their careers, or whatever. So that's what I would do. But I would talk to people first, and then I would look online second. All right, hope that helped. RT, Andy's Bootcamp is a great program. Yeah, you know what, buddy? You're a good dude, and it's great to have you, and I hope everybody jumps in. I really do. I love my boot campers, and I mean, I love everybody, but I really love people who have faith in me as a coach and join up and come to and help me build the community and help each other and all that good stuff. It's really, you know what? If I can just service message here, job searching is a lonely activity. It doesn't need to be this painful. It doesn't need to be this painful. I can spoon feed you. And we got other people that are going through the same thing you're going through. So jump in. All right. Adrian, how are you? Good to see you. Glenn. Wait, nope. Looks like we're just Calvin, chitty chatting. I think Kara, just make sure I'm not missing anybody. I'm looking through. Shar, it's true. I like Shar's comment here. Great advice about prepping on the first day on the job. Can't wait for the program. So I'm telling you, deliberate. Be proactive. This is the reason careers flounder. You need to be thoughtful. And while I want you to think long term, you have to make assessments in the short term and medium term about what will drive you. But I can teach you techniques that will not expire. Your drive will not expire if you do these. I didn't show you any of this today. But if you do the right things up front and you test your why and you really understand where your energy and your passion and your drive comes from, that will not fizzle out after the newness of the new job occurs. And as it goes on, it will not fizzle. I am more passionate today about what I do than I was in 2004 when I made this change. The structure of what drove me to make that change at that time has not changed in 15 years. So imagine you will know where your source of energy is coming from and then how to make it tactical and then how to evaluate it. This is the stuff that people blow off. Don't do that. So yes, I can't wait to have you in the program. All right. Well, you are in the program. Let's see. Don't wait for them. You contact them. All right. So on and so forth. I think, Owen, I hit the thing on the trade-in program. If you want to, I'm sorry. I think I miswrote that. I misqualified that. folks, let me answer this question because I think I didn't get it right the first time. Owen is asking, actually, and here I am on the chat, right? Owen is asking about the trade-in program. I have a trade-in program because I got so tired. Right, two things. I got super tired of crappy trainers giving you crap and you not getting to where you want to go, and you got hoodwinked, the program stunk, and I don't care what anybody else does. I'm just bummed for you that you paid $100 for somebody's program, and that's a deterrent now, and it scared you off, or it took all your money away, and you can't now get into the boot camp because of that. So I get so tired of that, and I'm so motivated to help you get to where you want to go. I said, all right, fine. I will, if you have been jilted, like genuinely you don't like it, and you haven't returned it. Like you could give it back, because a lot of these trainers should have 30-day warranties. If you're not able to give it back, and you really don't like it, and it was career related, like you had your resume written, you took an interviewing course. I'm not going to rat out the trainers who are like, I get more people from them. But if you buy training, not a subscription service, I'm talking about like I bought so-and-so's training module, or interviewing module. I bought so-and-so's resume program. If you've bought that within the last 2 months, so go back to, November, whatever, and you want to trade that in for the bootcamp, I will give you a dollar for dollar match up to $197. So if you bought somebody's program for $97 and you don't like it, you send me the receipt to support@milewalk.com. I will send you a coupon, and the bootcamp now costs you $400. I was so miffed at all the crap that was out there that I decided to put in this trade-in program. Now, if you paid $500 for something and you didn't like it, the ceiling is $197. I mean, I got to make something. I got to support you. So, but if it's paid $59, I'll give you a $59 credit. You paid $300, you get a $197 credit. Got to be within the last 2 months. You just send me the receipt, support@milewalk.com. Everything will be confidential, and we will send you a coupon code. Sorry, Owen. I thought you were asking about the trade up program. I have two programs. I have a trade up if you're one of my people, and I have a trade in if you've been jilted by somebody else. I hope that helps. God, I'm sorry about that. Really irritating. All right. Andrew, do you have a video I can watch as I need a job ASAP? Kelvin, I have 130 something videos on my YouTube channel. Just sort them, go through, type in what the issue is on my channel, and the videos with that will come up. Should I accept a lower paying, so Kelvin is follow up, should I accept a lower paying job to live off monthly? Should I wait and get a well-paying job? Kelvin, I can't answer that one. That's a personal situation. I would love it if you found a job you loved and that you waited it out. But I realize you got to put food on the table. I got to keep my lights on. I got to feed my dogs, my wife. We got to eat. I get it. So I can't answer that one for you. What percentage, Blitz, what percentage of potential employers check your current employer, most recent employer? Blitz, most employers will do a background check. And if if you're in the U.S., Social Security number is tied, is tied for anybody who's paid you, that will come up on their background check. So most of them anyway. But not all of them will go and call to verify that you were there. They'll just look at the sheet. Now, some of them will call, and it's becoming less and less common that they do. But it's hard to give you a percentage, but it's high. It's high. Now, if you're asking how many employers will go and try to do a reference check, meaning find somebody that will speak about you, that's a little bit different. With your current employer, first off, if I have a job, I do not want anybody at my potential new employer calling them. And anybody who does that should be shot, because that's a no-no. That's bad etiquette. It's putting you in a bad position, and I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's a difference though if they look at your LinkedIn profile and they say, "Oh, you're buddies with Jane Smith, and I know Jane's my pal, and I could just call her and get an informal reference check. Some companies do that, but that's also a little risky. And I would also make sure that I was very careful if I was to do something like that, because I wouldn't want to put you in a bad position as my candidate or as a potential employee. So I hope that helps. I know those weren't exact numbers. I would not worry about that. I really wouldn't. Glenn Pearson. If an employer has several negative plausible reviews on Glassdoor or similar sites, how do you advise handling that? I love this question. Ask about them directly, ask related questions, or ignore. Glenn, awesome question. Everybody, this is about an 8-tiered answer you're going to get. I'll try to keep it tight. But I love this one. Glenn, this is awesome. Actually, they're all great questions, but I especially like this one because it's especially confusing. Number one, you make your decision. Number one, you make your decision, and you have to think about the context of Glassdoor. What is Glassdoor? It is a site for people to go and put bad reviews about employers that they were not happy with for whatever reason. Now, Glenn, they're not you. They don't process the world the way you do. You might get along with people and they didn't. They were a sourpuss. Who knows? The boss they hated might no longer be there. There's entirely too many things that are, number one, wholly inaccurate about Glassdoor stuff. If you are an employer, you have no control. Glassdoor will not let you rectify stuff. We have an employer that we recruit for. That's awesome. Had some really crappy Glassdoor reviews over the years. One person got like 10 emails and went out and put a bunch of different stuff out there trying to fake them out. And Glassdoor won't let them clean it up. You got to know this stuff exists. What happens when you go to a restaurant and you have bad service? What happens when you go to a restaurant and you have great service and the food's great? You go home and you tell like 3 people. And then when you're inflamed, you want to go on Yelp and write a 1-star review, right? So you got to keep that in mind. That's the first thing. Do your own homework, okay? Do your own homework. Now, second aspect, I don't want you to ignore it. It's all in the art of how you articulate the question. So I would do this, and you might want to replay this if you hour and 41 in. Say, hey, I as part of doing my due diligence, I checked out some of the corporate evaluation sites, such as Wet Feet, Vault, Glassdoor, so on, so whatever, just kind of. And I noticed that on Glassdoor, there were some remarks about, the leadership in this unit. They weren't really favorable. I understand. So don't end the question there. I understand, the context around these things, and I get that people, sometimes they get unhappy and they go out there. So, but I just want to ask you about it to get your perspective. It just would be nice to hear it directly from you, because I would place more weight on that than I would on something I read on a evaluation site. That's welcoming. Just tell me. Now tell me the situation. Now you've engaged in a dialogue where they're not digging their heels in. They're not going to get defensive. I know that a lot of people, and they don't hit it off, and hey, I want to do my own homework. I will trust whatever you tell me to be true. I would just love for you to share, your viewpoints on that. That's it. Then let them talk. And don't make the question really specific. Like you might want to mention the area it is. And you also want to make sure that you are not asking somebody who is not in a position to respond. So if somebody said, hey, in this technical division, this guy is a knucklehead, and you're over here talking to somebody in a different unit, you don't bring it up. If you're talking to the HR person or the recruiter, anything is fair game. If you're talking to people in that unit, it's fair game. But try not to mix it around. I mean, don't, you brought that to me and somebody said, well, in that division, and I'm over here doing this and, I'm on the sales team and that's the delivery team. And you're asking me about why the product development team's not, or the product development or delivery team's not happy because they're working a lot of hours because they got to meet their deadlines. I'm off selling. I got different problems I got to worry about. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure, but never ignore it, but take it with a grain of salt. And actually, I wrote a whole passage about this in Interview Intervention up here in the early portion, and I talk about investigating. It's in there, and I comment on that and how to think about that and the context you should put that in. But that's what I would do. All right. Let's see. All right, let's get. Where's Glenn? Oops, sorry. All right, there we go. The mic, Ed Recruiter set me up. Enola, how are you? Hey, Rory, how are you, buddy? Rory's a boot camper. That's the zombie review. See how I know these people? I wish you guys would just put your names out there. Santa, how are you? Thank you for the emails. And I have had only summer jobs in the U.S. from an exchange student program. Wonderful. Graduated from university almost 6 years ago and no success in finding a job. I am not sure what to tell you, but my boot camp will definitely help you. If you're not in that, I would start with how to find a job you love, the webinar. And then I would look at the job searching video playlist on my YouTube channel. Kelvin, I want to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Should I only apply for these jobs or should I be more flexible? Kelvin, I'm going to answer that in the context of the other questions you asked me. And I would, if it was me and I needed work, I would probably be more flexible. But here again, that's for you. That's for you to decide. All right, Dan Morris. What is the schedule for the leadership help this year? Thank you for serving that one up for me. Folks, I didn't want to go into this because I spent a lot of time, kind of showing you around the boot camp stuff. But I do want to say this because it's a big deal to me, and I hope it's a big deal to you guys. This year, we're going bonkers with stuff that we're going to do for you. The boot camp, the live sessions are January. The Career Accelerator program is built and it's given to the boot campers. It's being recorded in February, and then that will be on sale in March for anybody who wants to buy just the career portion. In addition, in March, I am starting a leadership subscription. It is called Leadership Monthly. It is called Leadership Monthly, and it is a monthly subscription where we are only talking about leadership concepts. So once a month, you will be able to come to a program, a live private program that we do on Zoom like this, and you will have it'll be a whole teaching portion. We will do Q&A. You'll have workbooks, cheat sheets, and everything that I will build you on a monthly basis that covers everything on being a great leader, organizational stuff, psychological stuff, communication stuff, organizing your life, everything, managing people, everything that you can imagine, we're going to cover. And that will be a monthly subscription, a modest monthly subscription. That is a much lower price point, but it's per month, and that starts in March, and you will be hearing about that. And by the way, starting in about 3 weeks, my weekly sessions with the live office hours and with the recorded videos that you guys got are going to be about those concepts, how to get stuff done, the difference between dreams and results, my energy, where that comes from, everything from routines, managing time, production, building, all the weekly stuff is going to cover a lot of growth areas. So, we'll still do job searching stuff, and this will still be out here, and you can ask me whatever questions you want. We'll do the shows and all that. But the leadership program is going to be, that is going to be my main stuff. So you're gonna have the boot camp, the career program, and the leadership training, and my coaching. Those are gonna be my services. So it's I'm really stoked. And Dan Morris is awesome because he participated in a focus group to help me build that program. Love it. All right, let me see. Santa, how do I use those experience to get a meaningful job? I'm not sure. Oh, you're asking about your, I would treat, so Santa, I would treat it obviously like a college student, and I have a number of collegiate videos and articles and podcasts on my blog. I would go to the blog and I would select college, and I would look at all that stuff, and it'll on a free basis, it'll help you leverage that. All right, Ed D. Business experience. I have business experience and nursing experience in that order. I wish to go back into business using the combination. What should my summary statement look like for the change back to business? Ed, I would refer you to the 2 or 3 videos that I have on there on writing the career profile. I believe I cover that, and you can certainly say I have 20 years of experience in whatever your business is, and nursing, healthcare, if you want. Or you could say I have 20 years of experience, 10 in business, and so on. I go through all that. Check that out. Blitz is asking a further follow-up. How long can you maintain as your current employer a previous employer on your resume? I'm not sure what you mean. Your employers are your employers. So I started at one place and it was 10 years, and then I went to some place it was 5 years, and then I went to a place that was a year before I opened up, or whatever, my business. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. Your current employer is your current employer. As soon as you have a new job, then your current employer is your former employer. If you are no longer working at your most recent employer, then just indicate that on the app or the resume. Mike Morgan, where should I put cancer survivor? I would probably leave it off the resume. I would not disclose anything about my health. And number one, I'm thrilled to hear that you are a survivor. But number two, I would not open up anything about my health at all. I would not put it in print. I certainly wouldn't. So no, nowhere. All right. RT, hi BT. Oh, RT, hi BT. Oh, BT. Bob, your book, I signed your book. It's on my desk. I still got to get to the post. All right. Question. Despite working requirements professionally for years, doing it personally is hard. How to convert this would be nice lists into must-have versus nice-to-haves. Bob, I'm not sure I get the question. Your list is your list, and over time, whether it's a must or a nice can change. So let me give you an example. When I was younger, I used to travel like Monday morning, Friday night, I'd come back. And that was fine. And travel was an item on my list or whatever. And then, for somebody who gets married, I'm married now, but I don't have kids, but 8 kids, that Monday to Friday travel is going to become a no-go. So, over time, your situation can change. You might get in a situation where something happened in your finances, or you were out of work for a while, and things that were must-haves at one point can become luxuries now. I'm not sure I'm following. I think you just need to make the adjustments and then prioritize based on what's important. And actually, you're in the boot camp, and I hope I see you tomorrow. That spreadsheet, we're going to blow it open, and I'm going to show you exactly in a lower level of detail than I went through today of how to do that. So I hope that helped. I'm not sure I got. Kara's trying to clarify for me. Says asking how to prioritize his needs. Oh, I'm not. I mean, only you can prioritize your needs. I'm not really sure. Maybe we could talk about this in the session tomorrow. All right. Hey, Andy. Owen. Hey, Andy. Is a lack of communication between potential employers during the interview process a bad sign? On round 4, they like me but are not transparent on what's going on. Anytime there is a lack of communication, that is bad. I'm not saying the outcome will be negative. I'm saying that the company should be communicating to you, and there are certain things you should know about the interview process. Okay, folks, let's bring it back. I always like to do that. If you are interviewing, you need to be transparent with the organization. I'm interviewing with you and only you. I'm interviewing with you and 3 other companies, and here's who they are, and here's where I am, and here's what I'm interviewing for. And I just went for my 2nd interview here, and my 3rd interview there, and so on. You're not threatening them, you're communicating, and you're sharing. They, in turn, need to do the same thing for you. They should actually say, okay, you are one of 3 candidates, or you're the first candidate we're interviewing, or, hey, you're the first interview, we got another one tomorrow and another one Wednesday. Where they are. They should also let you know that. Then, at the end of each session, they need to let you know a couple things. Here's what's next, or here's what would be next. Okay? So, I don't know if you're going to go forward, but if you did go forward, this is what would be next. Or, hey, we're going to go team powwow day after tomorrow or after Wednesday after we've interviewed the 3 candidates, and we are going to make a decision on 2 candidates we're going to bring back. Whatever the process is, they owe it to you to share. If they are not sharing that, that is not a good recruitment process. Wouldn't you like to think that this is your first date, and shouldn't they be on their best behavior? Especially when they want to woo you to come in. So if that's how they are during the honeymoon phase, what are they going to be like to be married to? So here's what the landscape looks like. Here's what would be next. Here's when we will get back to you by. Those are musts when you leave. What would be next? It's a bigger sin for you not to ask that. And I don't care if somebody is in a hurry and all of a sudden they got to run out of the interview, then in your thank you email, you need to ask that question to whoever it is that you're interacting with, who your primary quarterback is, or your point of contact, your recruiter, HR person, hiring official, whoever. But they should do that. So I hope that helps. All right. Is Andrew reading the questions from this chat? Yes. RT, Kelvin. J. Gadinet, 221. Hey, Andy, found your channel a month ago. Found your resume advice. I now have an interview for a job that is more senior than the one I applied for. Love it. Can we give a shout out for my new friend here? Just got your book. You are welcome. And you are welcome, Olusie. I think. Blitz, is there some hidden blacklist site open to employers? I don't know. And Mark Peckney, 9 kids. I just cannot believe it. Mary Jo's boot camper. Mary Jo, how are you? Happy New Year. And you're youngest than 9? How did I not know that? If you guys wonder why I know the boot campers and by the way, anybody who's just joined this week probably has not gotten the email, or maybe last week too. Whenever you join the boot camp, you get a welcome from the system that says, okay, here's how you find your way around the place, and here, RSVP for the sessions that they're coming up, and if you got a resume review, here's what we want you to do, and so on. But then I email everybody personally and I say, tell me about you. And some people, they type this much, and some people, they type that much. It's great. And I know, I love it. You're not somebody in a system to me. You're a human being with aspirations and issues just like I have. So I think the more I know about you, the better I can help you. Actually, I try to do that even on the weekly stuff. I try to get to know you through your questions and who you are and where you live and what you do and some of the issues you might be facing. So, you gotta share. You gotta share that stuff. All right, wait. So I got a couple minutes left. If you're loving this, click the like button. when this is all done, YouTube's going to record it. You can watch it later. For any of those of you that I answered your questions, hopefully you jotted notes down on where I answered them, and you can zip back to them if you need to. For everybody else, I'm off for the next week or two because I'm going to be with the boot campers starting tomorrow, and then the next 2 weeks we have boot camps on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think, different times throughout the day. But it's really great fun. I hope you guys jump in. That package with the Career Accelerator and the free book, because I think some of this stuff is coming off, is good through tonight. It's a $400 course that's extra, not to mention all the other extras, but it's a pretty sweet deal. And it's 10 live sessions with me over the next 2 months. So I'd love for you to jump in. If you got any questions, just email support@milewalk.com. Kara and I both get access to that email, so we see it. And if I'm actually going to go out here to some meetings here shortly, and she can help you, and we'll be eyeing that till this evening, tonight, midnight Pacific time. So I hope that helps, and would love to help you on the deepest level if you can afford to swing it and get in. Remember, it is guaranteed 30 days, money back guarantee. It's a pretty sweet deal. There's loads of stuff in it, and the ongoing coaching is there too, and the support. And I'd love to help you at the deepest level. So till a few weeks from now, I hope everybody has a great January. And you'll be getting some videos from me over the next couple weeks. I just won't be doing the live office hours till later in the month. But I hope everybody's great. Happy New Year, and I'll see you soon.